ladies and gentlemen, for a very warm reception. It was 144 years ago that members of the Democratic Party first met in convention to select a presidential candidate. Since that time, Democrats have convened every 4 years to draft a presidential candidate. And our meeting this week is a continuation of that tradition. But there is something different, special about tonight. What's different? What's special? I, Barbara Jordan, am the keynote speaker. A lot of years passed since 1832, and during that time, it would be most unusual for any national party to ask a Barbara Jordan to deliver a keynote address. But tonight, here I am. And I feel, notwithstanding the past, that my presence here is one additional bit of evidence that the American dream need not forever be deferred. Now that I have this distinction, what in the world am I supposed to say? I could spend this time praising the accomplishments of the Democratic Party or attacking the Republican Party. I don't choose to do that. I could list the many of problems that Americans have. Problems which cause people to feel cynical, angry, frustrated. Problems which include lack of integrity in the government, the feeling that the individual no longer counts, the reality of material and spiritual poverty, the feeling that the grand American experiment is failing or has failed. I could recite these problems, and then I could sit down and offer no solutions. But I don't choose to do that either. The citizens of America expect more. They deserve and they want more. We are a people in a quandary about the present. We are a people in search of the future. We are a people in search of a national community. We are a people trying not to solve the problems of the present, unemployment, inflation, but we are attempting on a larger scale to fulfill the promise of America. Throughout our history, when people have looked at new ways to solve problems, they've traditionally looked to their political parties. And many times they've turned to the Democratic Party. Why? What is it about the Democratic Party that makes it the one to turn to when people are looking for solutions for their future? I believe that it lies in our concept of governing. And that concept is derived from our view of people. It is a concept deeply rooted in a set of beliefs firmly etched in the national conscience. What are these beliefs? First of all, we believe in equality for all, privileges for none. This is a belief that each American, regardless of background, has equal standing in the public forum, all of us. Because we believe this idea so firmly, we are an inclusive rather than exclusive party. We are a party of innovation. We do not reject our traditions, but we are willing to adapt to changing circumstances when change we must. We are willing to suffer the discomfort of change in order to achieve a better future. This, my friends, is the bedrock of our concept of governing. And these are the foundations upon which a national community can be built. Let all understand that these guidelines And these guiding principles cannot be discarded for short-term political gain. They represent what this country is all about. They are indigenous to the American idea, and these principles are not negotiable. And other times I could stand here and give this kind of exposition on the beliefs of the Democratic Party, and that would be enough. But not today. People want more. That is not a sufficient reason for the majority of the people of this country to decide to vote Democratic. We have made mistakes. We admit our mistakes. In our haste to do all things and be all things for all people, we did not foresee the full consequence of our actions. And when the people raised their voices, we didn't hear. But our deafness was only a temporary condition and not a permanent one. And now we must look to the future. Let us heed the voice of the people and recognize their common sense. If we do not, we not only blaspheme our political heritage, we ignore the common ties that bind the American public. Many are distrustful of their leaders. Many seek only to satisfy their private wants, to satisfy their private interests. But this is the great danger that America faces. We will cease to be one nation and instead become a collection of interest groups. City against suburb, region against region, individual against individual, each seeking to satisfy private interests. If that happens, who will speak for America? And who will speak for the common good? This is the question that must be answered in 1976. Are we to be one people bound together by a common spirit, sharing in a common endeavor, or will we become a divided nation? For all of its uncertainty, we cannot flee the future. We must address and master the future together. It can be done if we restore our belief in the sense of a national community. As a first step, we must restore our belief in ourselves. We are a generous people. Why not be generous with ourselves first? We need to take heart the words spoken by Thomas Jefferson. Let us restore the social intercourse, that harmony and that affection without which liberty and even life are but dreary things. A nation is formed by the willingness of each of us to share in the responsibility of upholding the common good. A government is invigorated when each one of us is willing to participate in shaping our government. In this election year, we must define the common good and begin to shape a common future. Let each person do his or her part. And now, what are those of us who are elected public officials? What should we do? We call ourselves public servants, but I'll tell you this, we must set the example for the rest of the nation. It is hypocritical for the public official to admonish and exhort the people to uphold the common good if they themselves are derelict in that duty. More is required. We must hold ourselves strictly accountable, and we must provide the people with a vision of the future. What we have to do is strike a balance between the idea that the government should do everything and the thought that the government should do nothing. Let there be no illusions about the difficulty of forming this kind of national community. It's tough, difficult, not easy. But a spirit of harmony will survive in America only if each of us remember that we share a common destiny. If each of us remember when self-interest and bitterness seem to prevail, we share a common destiny. I have confidence that we can form this kind of national community. I have confidence that the Democratic Party can lead the way. I have that confidence. We cannot improve on the government handed down to us by the founders of the Republic. There is no way to improve upon that, but what we can do is find new ways to implement the system and realize our destiny. Now, I began this speech by commenting to you on the uniqueness of a Barbara Jordan making a keynote address. Well, I'm going to close my speech by quoting a Republican president. And I ask that you listen to these words of Abraham Lincoln. Relate them to the concept of a national community in which every last one of us participates. And Abraham Lincoln said, "As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master." This expresses my idea of democracy. Whatever differs from this, to the extent of the difference, is no democracy.